Went 3 whole days without knowing exactly what had happened to him. August 9th, I finally found out. My grandpa had left my house, went 3.5 miles outside of Smithshire, and took the exact gun that I gave him and took his life. When they told me what had happened, I didn't really know how to react. I cried, yelled, needed to find some way to get out my anger. I went home that night, cried myself to sleep, just like any kid would. I didn't leave my room until the day of the funeral. I had to drag myself out of my bed just to get through the day. I thought it was my fault and everyone was going to judge me. The day of my grandpa's funeral was probably one of the hardest days I can possibly remember. Everyone staring at me, and when I walked by, they would whisper. I thought I was out of tears from crying all the time. I was proven wrong as soon as they mentioned my name in the service. I lost it. I couldn't hold back from crying anymore. You could feel the sadness that surrounded you from everyone at the funeral morning. My dad and I were the last to leave. Having to say goodbye to someone that was there for you day in and day out, and someone that you had looked up to as long as you can remember, is one of the hardest goodbyes as a young kid could possibly face. When you're at your lowest low, you don't know what to do with yourself. And that's exactly where I was. I didn't know how to cope with my emotions. I was angry all the time. I had so much hate and anger built up inside that once someone did something to me that I didn't appreciate, I would snap. When dealing with suicide, well, how I did, it's hard to place trust in people and to let people into your life again. You think once you get close to another person, they're just going to vanish again. I often wonder what it would have been like, what life would have been like if I didn't give him the gun. What would it would be if I hadn't been tricked into helping him? I love my grandpa more than anything in the world. I wish things would have ended different and he was suffering not physically but mentally. I would have loved to hold on to him and keep him around a little bit longer so he could see who I turned into and who I am today. Just when I thought I was getting better and not having my grandpa around and beginning to cope with my emotions better, I stumbled into a grocery store with my mom. Hey, I'm Taryn. 3 words spoke on March 25th, 2011. I would never forget. I would not know the past year of my life anymore. I thought he was just a random person looking for someone to talk to while he was at work. But he turned out to be more than just a pretty face. He was kind, sweet, and he made me feel like I had died and gone to heaven. On May 25th, it was just a regular day. Nothing special had happened. School had just let out, and I was ready for summer. I went to Hy-Vee with my mom and dad, and there he was. His name was Taryn. He was blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and he worked in the Chinese food department. I had seen him several times before, and he would always tell me with his beautiful smile, "You're one of my regulars." Before I could say one word of what I wanted to order, he was already making my plate. He knew exactly what I wanted because I never really changed up what I wanted to eat. After we smiled back and forth for about 10 minutes, it was time for me to go home and eat my dinner. I got on Facebook that night to discover that I had an unknown email from a Taryn Miller. I was surprised yet excited because his picture was on the message, so I knew exactly who he was. We would talk for hours on hours every night. We would always talk about hunting in the fall with each other. If I ever had a problem with something or someone, he was always there to help me manage to keep calm down. We soon started talking, and you could say we had a sparkling relationship. Once we had a relationship, people assumed we were dating. Well, we kind of were. After almost 2 months of thinking I knew him well enough, something came over him that I had no explanation for. Things he would say about harming himself scared me, and he seemed to be like a whole other person. I didn't know what had come over him. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. We got into a huge fight, and I didn't talk to him for at least 3 days. He would text me, message me on Facebook. I couldn't find enough energy in me to respond. Then I got the message. It was Tuesday in July, the 5th to be precise. I came home that afternoon and got on my computer, started talking to a friend of mine who had told me something had happened to Taryn. He told me Taryn had committed suicide the night before. I did not know how to handle the news at the time. I told myself repeatedly that this could not be happening again. It was as if my whole life had stopped for 4 hours before I could calm back down. I had thousands of questions going through my mind, questions that still haunt me. Did he try calling me last night? Could I have stopped him? After I found out, I was instantly crying. Everything, to me, the one person that made me feel whole again after losing my grandpa. For the next week, I never left my room. I never ate. After I lost him, I felt like something had come over me as well. And the truth was, it had. I was not myself anymore. I lost all meaning to have hope and trust in the people. And anymore, I thought I had known what to be true, and what I had hope in had just blown out the window. There are always hardships people go through in life. the fact that this is the second suicide to happen to me, I took this one a little bit more seriously. I still have the bone-chilling words that Taryn told me the day before stuck in my mind. Remember, I will always love you. After losing Taryn, life was rough for a while. I still haven't gotten over this, or my grandpa, as you guys can tell. But I take it one step at a time, slowly getting over both dilemmas. Every time I am down on myself, or I just need to pick me up to get me through the day, I always think of the Winnie the Pooh quote my grandpa would always tell me when I was little. If there ever comes a day where we can't be together, keep me in your heart and I will stay there forever. And that is where he and Taryn both are. Because when dealing with suicide, you never really find those perfect words in something more than just goodbye. It's hard to remember the good times when there's just so much heartache going through your head. But they deserve more than that. They deserve more than just a single moment of sadness. So all of you just need to remember that when there's enough love in our hearts to burst like a supernova, there's enough love in our hearts to spark a famous smile. We all lose someone at a point of our lives, but don't ever let go of that smile. Hold on forever, because that is our final dedication to all of them. Thank you.